Hey folks, Chris here. Today I want to talk to you about two different methods of fishing that do not require you to be on site or have a rod and reel in hand to catch fish. These are very good survival methods. These are very good methods to try to attempt to catch a lot of fish all at once if you're trying to feed your family, or just simply trying to have a afternoon party on the patio. The first method I want to talk about is the method that our grandparents used. It is basically a limb line, sometimes called a bank line. You simply take a piece of tarred twine, you tie a hook on the end of it, bait it, and cast it out into the water. There's several different ways you can do this. If you're catfishing in particular, you can do the same thing. You just let it go into the water just a very little bit. You put a minnow or you put a small bluegill on the end of it, and you use this to catch catfish. What happens is the minnow or the small bluegill will actually splash and have a lot of movement. The catfish come up and they take it. The method I'm talking about today is mainly for catching small pan type fish, bluegill, that type of fish. The other method I want to talk to you about is these yo-yos, and we'll go into a little bit of detail as to how these work in just a minute. Okay, I wanted to kind of give you a little better detail as to what my bank lines look like that we're setting today. As you can see, I've got a 1/0 hook, and I've just tied my bank line onto it. I'm using a tarred braided bank line, size 12. Looks like according to the chart here, it's about 95 pounds tensile strength, 95 pound test basically. And there's several different ways you can do this. You can actually use a monofilament leader on these. You can tie the hook straight to the line like I have. There's any number of ways you can do this. My way may not necessarily be the best way, but it works for me. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for stuff that works. And like I said, this right here works for me. I've caught quite a few fish like this over the past few years. So whatever works for you, by all means try it. The other method we're talking about today, and I wanted to give you a little bit better detail, is this mechanical fisher. It is sometimes known as a yo-yo, sometimes known as an auto reel. But basically what it is, in its simplest form, is a type of bank line. The only difference is this one actually has a spring mechanism that helps in the process of setting the hook when a fish takes the bait. I'm going to show you a little bit about this here in just a second. These devices come from the factory with a snap swivel on the end of the line. As you can see, you've got a trigger mechanism here. When the fish pulls this line, it pulls the spring up out of the notch and it sets the hook. Now depending on how fast you want your action to be, you can move this spring up just a little, and the further up you got it, the lighter the action is, or the less effort the fish has to make to pull the spring mechanism loose and actually set the hook. These are pretty neat little items. Like I said earlier, this is the mechanical fisher. It's made in Arkansas. The same company, White's, actually makes another version they call the White's Auto Fisher. Both of them are close to the same, they just have little different trigger mechanisms. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bank line that I've made up with tarred bank line material, the number 1/0 hook. I've got a big gob of night crawlers strung on it, and I'm just going to throw it out in the pond and we're going to see what happens. I'm going to do the same thing with the mechanical fish. I simply will throw this out as far as I can get it, and then I will find a limb to tie it off to. And that is a bank line in its simplest form. Now what I'll do is I'll take this loop that I've tied and I will simply put it through itself. Not exactly the best of setups, but it works best for the camera. And I'll run out line. In this situation, I'm going to run out quite a bit. And I'm going to set my trigger pretty heavy right now until I get the line out in the water. But then I'm going to throw the line out in the water. And I'm going to set the trigger very light. Now all we do is we wait. So let's see what happens. Hey folks, I'm back. It's been a few hours since we set these 3 different bank lines. One, as you remember, was a mechanical fisher. The other 2 were just standard bank lines. Let's check them. We run them just like we run a trap. Let's see what we got. Well, walking up to the first one, as you can see, it has been set, or actually the trigger mechanism has been set off. The bait is gone, but there's no fish on the hook. So we had one try to get it, but no success. I don't know, but looks like we might have something on this one right here. You can see a little bit of movement. I believe there's something on it. Yeah, there is something on it. Hey, look here, folks. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look at that. Nice little bass. Nice little largemouth. Well, we'll turn him back loose. But that just goes to show you, these things work, and they work well. Okay. Nice little largemouth. Like I said, this is our family's farm pond. We want to keep them around for the fun of catching. Like I said, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed making it. Hopefully you've learned something along the way. Have a good day, folks. And off he goes.